Okay, happy Saturday morning. I feel like after this week that this specific topic is what's needed. So today we're going to talk about self-examination. How do I improve? What flaws do I need to remove from my trading? I look at trading almost like bowling. So let's say you're going to go bowling. You want to knock down those pins, or you want to knock down those trades. You can have the gutters completely open, or you can put in bumpers. And those bumpers stop the ball from going in the gutter. If you roll the ball down, it's going to bounce off the bumpers and it's going to hit the pins. The good thing about trading, we can use bumpers. These are rules, protocols, things that keep us out of trouble.
Fantastic.
So, you're a trader. Pretend you're a bowler. Put up the bumpers. Help yourself keep the ball in the lane. Keep your trading in the lane. To be a great trader, it requires constant, never-ending self-examination. Self-denial is part of this road. Without the ability to tell yourself, no, you're not doing that. No, you've been doing one contract the whole week and been crushing it. You are not going to put your account at risk, your emotional equity at risk, by doing 10 contracts on this one trade.
Let's hear it.
Your account cannot handle that asymmetrical risk. Your impulses are wrong. Your impulses are wrong. If you were to bring a brand new trader and set them down and say, okay, let's learn trading, the first thing we're going to have to learn is everything you want to do is wrong. You enter a trade, the trade goes against you, and you're like, well, I can get a better price by adding more here, buying more as the trade goes against me. Time has proven that's a bad strategy. Your impulses are wrong, and your impulses have to be retrained. Now, you can try to retrain those all by your lonesome little self, and I wish you good luck with that. Or you join a strong community where you can allow yourself to learn. And the community is such that egos are removed. One of the things I pride myself on our group is we're a group of professional futures traders whose egos are put on the back shelf. No one is here to one-up you. No one is here to put you down. No one is here to tell you that you're stupid, because they'll be kicked out immediately. I have kicked out 2 members is all I've kicked out. Luckily, we seem to attract people who want to behave professionally and use professional language. Another thing you're not going to do in my group is cuss. You're not going to yell. You're not going to scream. So having a good community and a coach who encourages you to be vulnerable, gives you the environment that you can be vulnerable, gives you an environment where you can admit your mistakes. You are encouraged in our group big time to celebrate your successes and to let us know the lessons that you're learning. You can get a journal right here in our Discord group where you can journal your journey. There's a lessons learned where you can put your lessons in there. This morning I asked 2 people who responded that they had a losing week. I hope they realized it was a weekly question, not a daily question. But what do you need from me? I applaud them for the courage to click the red button and say, I had a down week. Because now it gives me the option and the opportunity, how can I help you? And to be honest, those 2 red dots has encouraged this video today. It is my job, weekly, daily, and hourly, to help you to make sure you have the bumpers up to keep you safe. You have to protect yourself from yourself, and you have a coach, me, helping you stay within that framework. I got a lot of stuff to cover here this morning. I hope you bear with me, and I hope that it proves to be a fruitful training for you. It is something we have to revisit often. Sometimes we'll take one of these topics and we go deep. Today we're going to do a nice sweeping overview, examining your weaknesses. What protocols do we need to put in place to help protect yourself from yourself? First question is always, should I be trading? That goes off 45 minutes all day long as an audible alert in our room. Should I be trading? The first part of that is taking a personal inventory. Do I have time to trade? Am I in the right place to trade? Or am I trying to trade in the car line when I'm picking up my kids on my phone? Okay, so take that personal inventory. Did I just have a fight with my wife or my husband or my spouse? Did I have an argument with my kids? Did I just have a horrible night? Am I expecting some bad news today? Am I preparing for a trip tomorrow, but yet I want to get in a little bit of trading today? Take a personal inventory. Should I be trading? And if the answer is no, just walk away. No big deal. The casino's open tomorrow. Are we in rational price action? This week was a perfect display of why our essentials indicator in our group has the 8-point candle warning. Are we in rational price action, or are we getting 8-point candles all over the place? When your typical stop loss, and for our system, our typical stop loss is 6 points or less. Do you want to be trading where one candle can just rip through an entire structure? Probably not. Now, the system can work well with 8-point candles, but if you choose to trade in that environment, you need to be greedier. So if I had a range of price where I expected price to bounce and it was this or that, I want to enter at that, the one further away, the greedier price. I'm going to take my leverage metrics and go, you know what, I'm cutting that in half as far as my contracts so I can double my stop loss. You should not be trading with the same leverage when there's a sea of 8-point candles. So, is there rational price action? This goes under the heading of, should I be trading? Am I prepared? And is there rational price action? Okay, all right. I got those two things settled. Now, what about news drivers? Not for just today, but tomorrow. If this is the day before FOMC, which is this week, by the way, that you need to know that information. What's coming up this week? You need to know that information. Is there any news drivers in the next 10 minutes? That should already be on your chart. If we're live on Zoom, I'm really good at helping you know those things. Are the levels bouncing? We're bounce traders. We're very good at knowing where price bounces. Are the levels bouncing? Are they ripping through levels? And most likely, if they're ripping through levels, you're in the sea of 8-point candles. So are the levels bouncing? Are they bouncing perfect? Are they giving us touch and goes? Or are they giving us touch and wiggle, wiggle, wiggle? You need to know that. If they're touching and going, you might be able to use your normal leverage. If it's touch and wiggle, 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 you might want to go smaller and know you're going to add if the trade moves your direction. Am I trading before 11 a.m. Eastern? At 11 a.m. Eastern, well, 10 minutes before 11 a.m. Eastern, my automatic system comes on. In 10 minutes, close all trades. And at 11 o'clock Eastern, it tells me to quit trading. You might need some sort of system in place like that. For yourself, I don't like trading New York lunch. It has proven not to be a good trading time for me. Plus, the mental break is really good. Am I trading after 2 p.m.? I like coming back at 2 p.m. and trading the silver bullet hour and sometimes the power hour. But you have to know in the power hour, the closer you get to closing time, the less likely your levels are to work. Don't give back your whole day if you're going to trade in the afternoon. It needs to be part of your system. If I'm up, let's say, 20 points, how many points would I be willing to risk in the afternoon session? For me, it's half. I'd be willing to give up 10 points. So it might mean in the afternoon I need to trade smaller because I want more than just one trade. Does that make sense? Do I know where I am at? Oh my gosh. Should I be trading? And where am I at? Monster. That's one reason I started coming up with the AM briefings, to help my traders and honestly to give some teaser stuff to prospective members of where am I at and where is price likely going to be attracted to go, which is the next one. Do you understand the magnets that are above you and below you? Do I understand those higher time frame levels? And that's really what I'm giving in the AM briefing. Some of these are multiple confluence levels. These are the ones that I think are the single most important. Have I done a proper pre-flight, pre-trading preparation to start trading? I remember one day I got on Zoom, one of my traders popped on, and he just admitted that he had just entered a trade and hasn't done one thing as far as preparing to trade. You probably keep hearing this little bell ringing. It's my dog's collar. She's going nuts. It's raining here, and so I apologize. But do I understand the magnets that are above me and below me? Has price already taken the magnets above me? If so, we've experienced in our group with our trading system that now price is going to head the other way and go to the other magnets. Do I still have magnets above me? If they're all taken, should I really be that excited about taking longs? Something to consider. Okay, so proper pre-flight preparedness. That pre-flight preparedness is to get your bounce levels ready so I can know where I'm at and to know where price might be attracted to go. And have you figured out your leverage metrics? Have you figured it out? We're going to talk about that next. So should I be trading? Leverage metrics. On YouTube, I have a full video on it. To me, it was my gift to the community. I do not give out our training that's inside of our group. I don't put it on YouTube. But I did put the leverage metrics. In fact, you can download the Google spreadsheet. My gift to the community. This is going to help you work out your risk. And risk is the only thing you can control. Okay, it's the only thing you control. I'm pretty good at knowing where price is going to bounce, but doesn't mean it's going to. So I've got to manage my trade. I've got to manage my risk. Should I be trading? What are my entry requirements? What are my exit requirements? How much leverage should I be trading? That's the only thing I control. I don't control what price does. Okay, I'm just pretty good at looking at the chart and knowing where price is probably, most likely, and I'm going to say with a 92% accuracy, where it's going to bounce. But I don't know if it's going to vomit right through it. So I got to manage my risk. Risk is everything. You're a professional loser if you're a trader. You are the best loser ever, and I think that's the best title of a book ever. The Best Loser. The Best Loser Wins is the title of that book. Symmetrical risk. This is really an important topic. It is one of the things I personally violate. So part of this today is you self-examining. Where are my holes in the boat here? Well, one of my holes is the symmetrical / asymmetrical risk. I'll trade one contract 10 in a row, and then I get a wild hair, and I go, oh, this is the one. I'm going 10 contracts. Just last week, I posted a video in the group on YouTube, loser lesson. That trade, I decided to leverage up. And I'm not going to go through the lessons of that video. I encourage you to go watch it. But one of the biggest problems in my own system is I will take asymmetrical risk too often. My goal is to never, ever do it again. You trade one contract, and then on this one trade, you think you know what price is going to do. You do 10 contracts. Or 100. And that trade will humble you. You just negated all the previous trades you just did because you took asymmetrical risk. This is the one I want to go bigger on. Now, let's talk about that for 1 second. So let's say in my leverage metrics, I've determined I can trade 6 contracts. Okay? Well, I like to trade smaller than the leverage metrics tells me to. So I like to, if it says 6 contracts, I'll trade 1, 2, or 3. 6 is if I really, that's my leverage up. Let me do 6 at the leverage up, not 60. So I'm still trying to stay within my leverage metrics. Now, some of my traders, if their leverage metrics tells them 6 contracts, they trade 6 contracts every single time. No big deal. It's perfect. I just know that I try to not go into the asymmetrical risk area. I tried to stay consistent. This week, I did that perfect. This week was one of my best trading weeks as far as discipline, and I'm really happy with that. Because last week, I took that asymmetrical risk, and it hurt. And so this week, I'm re-earning the right to leverage bigger, and I traded small and did beautiful every single day. So that was fantastic. Okay, a question to ask yourself. Did you have a single loss this week larger than your max loss per trade? In your leverage metrics, you're going to have to decide, what is my maximum loss per trade? Did you take a loss bigger than that this week? If you did, you failed. Did you take a daily loss larger than your agreed upon max daily loss? If you did, you failed. Every day you want to be able to answer this question perfectly. There was no single trade that I took a loss larger than my agreed upon max loss per trade number, because you're the one that created your own leverage metrics. And there was no single day that had a loss larger than my agreed upon max daily loss. If you can answer both of those questions truthfully, honestly, and correctly, awesome. You're doing the right things. If you keep doing those right things, you will be fine. No loss larger than your max trade loss, and no loss on the daily bigger than your daily max loss. I cannot tell you how important these two things are. If you don't have these things ironed out, the next two doesn't matter, because I got 2 more. Okay? This is where we start, should I be trading? And it could be argued the leverage metrics is where you should be. But if you shouldn't be trading, the leverage metrics doesn't matter. So you really do have to answer, should I be trading first? Do I know where I'm at? Do I know where price is attracted to go? Am I trading at a good time frame? Am I aware of the news events of the day, of the week? And even am I aware of next week? So on Friday, we were already looking at what's coming next week. And do I have my leverage metrics worked out? Let's go to the next box. Trade entry discipline. Once again, you're going to want to revisit the topic. Am I in the land of rational price action and level bouncing? Our core strategy works amazing when we have rational price action, when our levels are bouncing. It's taking candy from a baby. It's just easy. Is the level I'm considering trading, is it a clean, clear, crisp level, or is it muddy? Something for you to consider. I have discovered that the more the clean, clear, and crisp that level is, the more obvious that level is, the better it bounces. The cleaner it bounces. The more it does a touch and go. Do I have backup levels? Very key. I don't want to trade a level if I don't have backup levels. And those backup levels need to be within an ideal stop loss as defined within my leverage metrics. These are 4 things you must answer before every trade. Sometimes when we're live on Zoom, I'll talk about an entry. I'll highlight a level and say, should we take this trade? Usually it's because you shouldn't. because either there's not backup levels or it's a tested level already. I just want to make sure you're catching that. Or the ideal stop loss is too big. That doesn't mean you can't take the trade with one little tiny MES. Okay? Because one tiny little MES, you can go 10 points and it's $50. That shouldn't hurt you at all. That should be significantly under your max loss per trade. That should be significantly under your max loss per day. You know, if there's a level just sitting out there and you're like, I got to take that. Well, you know you can do it with one MES with a 10-point stop loss. It's not going to hurt you. It's no big deal. When I'm entering, am I aware of trend? Am I trading with the trend? Am I trading counter trend? Do I adjust my leverage based off, am I trading with the trend or am I counter trading? Should I adjust my leverage? That should already be worked out over here, but this needs to be in your mind. Am I counter trading? Because you need to know that. Now, some of my traders take the same leverage no matter what. Actually kind of makes it a little easier. I will vary my leverage based off trend or counter. Do I have an awareness of the high time frame levels? Did we just bounce off a 30-minute level that I should be giving a 15 to 25 point room for it to bounce? And am I entertaining the idea of taking a trade 3 points into that bounce? The big kid just bounced on the trampoline is my analogy. So you got that 30-minute level. That's the big kid that just bounced. It's typically going to bounce 15 to 25 points as we see over and over and over and over. Should I be taking a trade within that 15 to 25 point range? Probably not. You got to be aware of that. Did we just bounce off a high time frame level? That's why the color of your levels are absolutely critical, that they match mine. So that way when you see an orange line, you know that's my 30-minute level. Your level should be 30-minute level, and that line should be on your chart also. It's part of being on Zoom. And then what's your style of entry? This is a decision we've got to make. This is part of our entry discipline. As you're examining yourself, am I doing this on every trade? As you trade longer, they'll become more automatic. At the beginning, you might actually have to have a checklist written down. Is it a clean, clear, crisp level? Do I have backup levels? What's the stop loss? Does that fall within my leverage metrics? Is this trend or counter trend? Is this a high time frame level? Did we just bounce off of a high time frame level? Am I taking a trade inside of the wake of that high time frame level? And what's your style of entry on this? Am I going to go full contracts at the edge of the range? Am I only going to trade the wings, the beginning of the range and the end of the range? Am I going to do like a test contract at this edge of the range and the rest of my contracts at the other end? For example, if I've got a backside, front side, and break level, I might do one contract at the front side and the other 5 contracts at the break level. That's really trading the wings. It's doing a test contract. If it bounces off the backside and goes, great. Those are the best bounces. I don't mind just being in that with one contract. Or are you going to use our 3 contract system that works really, really, really well? It's up to you. But these are the decisions you need to make before you enter a trade. And these are just the ones that came to my mind this morning when I was sitting here. I have not done a 3-hour in-depth analysis to prepare for this particular lecture. These are things that are just obvious that you should be doing. Okay, the more in-depth training is in our boot camp. And then, what about your exit? So, should I be trading? Do I have my leverage metrics worked out? Because risk is the only thing you can control. Have I considered all the ingredients for a good entry? Clean, clear, crisp level, backup levels, ideal stop loss, trend or counter. Do I change my leverage? Am I aware of the high time frame levels? And what style of entry am I going to use? Okay, you have now entered the trade. You are now at the mercy of price action. You just jumped off the boat. You got one of those little circle life preservers like they used on the Titanic. I don't know. And you're floating in the water. You now have very little control. The only thing you can control is when you get out of the water. So let's talk about the exit discipline. Once again, this is all self-analysis to yourself. Are you doing these things? Is this a video you should bookmark? Something maybe you should visit each week for a while. Okay, so not moving my stop loss. Okay, what's the first thing you should do when trade goes against you? Or the first thing you shouldn't do is make things worse. Don't move your stop loss. Before you entered the trade, you're less emotional. You are less emotional there. You are more emotional here. So while were less emotional and you were examining whether or not you wanted to enter, you already made a lot of critical decisions. You've already determined your ideal stop loss. Now you're in the trade. Is that a good time to move your stop loss? I think when I made my first decision, what my ideal stop loss was, is the decision I need to go with. And if I turn out to have been wrong let's say you take the loss, you get out and you go, oh man, my stop really should have been here because of this, this, and this, and this. Cool. Make the adjustment. I encourage you not to make the adjustment while you're in the trade and you're not thinking as clearly. And it's hard to think when you're losing money. It's hard to think. So, not moving your stop loss is key. Knowing how to manage for a half loss when appropriate, and the gift of break even. I'm not going to go into detail into that one. We talk about that in our room constantly. Next thing. I'm not going to add to a losing trade. I will not add to a losing trade. I will not add to a losing trade. I will not add to a losing trade. Now, there's a little variance here because let's say you were going to do a wings entry. 1 contract at the front side, 5 contracts at the break. I don't consider that adding to a losing trade. I'm talking about you move your stop loss. Now you're past your original stop loss, and I'm going to add to my trade. Okay? If you never move your stop loss, well, you're probably not adding to a losing trade. Unless you add more contracts than your leverage metrics tells you to. Then you add it to a losing trade. But as long as you don't move your stop loss and you don't trade more than your maximum contracts, you're honoring the maximum loss per trade. You're not adding to a loser. But we've all added to losers, and you know what I'm saying. Okay? You know exactly what I'm saying. Are you following your trade management protocol? Yours might be different than mine. It's okay. But the fact is that you have worked out your trade management protocol. How am I going to do a half loss? When am I going to do a half loss? When am I going to take the gift of the break even? I'm not going to add to a losing trade unless I've decided I'm going to do a wings entry. And I love the wing entry. There's another video here on YouTube where I talk about the different entry types. I love doing like the 1 contract at the backside, the 5 at the break level, because the 5 at the break level are taking the smallest risk. So yeah, I like that a lot. When will I add to a winning trade? When will I add to a winning trade? Think about how much of a better trader you'd be if you never added to a loser and you only added to winners. So I was in a trade on Friday, right? It's a 20-pointer. I did that in 2 different accounts. One account I got out at the 20 points, so I locked that in. The other account, it was just 1 contract. And I said, when we get above VWAP in the opening, I'm going to add. That was a beautiful place to add. I was already up 20 points. So I had some room to be able to take the add-on and it not affect anything. I was still going to end the trade a winner, even if that contract took a loss, which, by the way, it did. I don't know what's going to happen after I enter a trade. All I can do is manage the trade. But by and large, if you add to winning trades at places that you would have okay, my ads are still perfect entries. Even if I wasn't long on that 20-pointer, that would have been a place to initiate a trade. One of my traders initiated his long when I added, because that was a perfect place to initiate a trade, even if I wasn't in it. That's how I add to winning trades. All right. Not allowing a winner to become a loser. I just don't allow a winner to become a loser. I was short yesterday at that 50. And I said, if it goes from 50, it's going to 31.50. And it freaking did. But when I entered at 50, it was too much wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. I was up 2 points and it came back. Well, I got out at a tick profit. Oh, well. And then it slammed down. Oh, well. I know that I can't allow a winner to become a loser. That's not a good strategy. And then let your runners run. You have a good system. Even if you're not in my group, you need to get a good system for letting a runner run. We use several things to keep us in a trade, and we do really well at it. I mean, we had so many 10, 20, 30, 40-point runners this week in our group. It was absolutely fantastic. And it's so amazing. It's one of the things that's interesting is when a lot of traders join the group, they've never had a 10-pointer or a 20-pointer or a 30. And once you get them, like, it just happens over and over and over and over. It's so cool. Okay, and then the exit, you got to be aware if you're coming to a high time frame level. So let's say we entered on a 3-minute level short. Price is going down beautifully. You're up 10 points. But you've got a 30-minute, a 1 hour, a 4 hour, and a daily combination level at 12 points. You might want to just exit the trade at 11 points and 2 ticks, right? Because you're probably going to get a 15 to 25 point bounce the other direction. You got to know when price is going to bounce back in your face. Now, let's say you had several contracts. You might take off all of them except one contract at that level and keep one just in case this is the time price vomits right through it, or it only has a 5-point bounce and then price continues going. No problem. 90% of your runners should probably get out at 1 tick profit anyway. And then the other 10%, you are smiling ear to ear. So, the whole purpose of this is for some self-examination. Having a system here that acts as the bumpers in a bowling lane to help keep you safe so that you can knock down the pins almost every time. Am I trading at good times? Am I mentally here to be trading? Am I leveraging properly? Do I know where I'm at? Do I know where price is probably going based off the magnets of our system? Is it a clean, clear, crisp level? Do I have backup levels? Is it within the ideal stop loss? Do I know the trend? Am I aware of any high time frame levels that price might bounce? What's my style of entry here? How am I going to manage my stop loss? Am I going to manage for a half loss? Am I going to take the gift with the break even? Am I going to spread out my entries here? How am I going to take contracts off? How am I going to manage the runner? Am I going to add to this winning trade? Where would I add to this winning trade? Under what conditions would I add to this winning trade? How do I keep my stops behind the levels where that keeps us in a trade for a long run? Never allowing a winner to become a loser? These things will help you become a consistent trader where you're green every day. You know, I have traders that'll say, I was green for 21 days in a row, and then I messed up. I didn't trade with a backup level. I didn't take the gift of break even. And it's always one of these things. Well, I hope this was educational. If you're not a member, I hope that you would entertain becoming a member. If you are a member, thank you for being a member. Thank you for giving me the gift to be able to teach this to you, to help continually reinforce good practices. And it's really cool the longer you're in our group and you see traders develop and develop and develop and develop. So thank you for allowing me the gift to be able to do that. Until next time.
Stay green, my friends, and to learn more about our group, go to microstrader.com.